So the book I'm sharing from this morning is the Yoga Sutras, translated by Alistair Shear. There's many different translations of the sutras. I really love this one. This is the one that Dharma recommends, and there's a beautiful intro in the beginning of it that really breaks down the path of yoga. So in these texts, in the first few verses, they usually summarize the whole teachings, or the entire teaching, so that a soul that's ready for enlightenment, if it reads the book, it gets it in the first few verses and then it doesn't have to keep reading. And then for the rest of us, we need to keep reading. So I'm going to share the first 4 verses. This is the summary of what this entire book is saying. And then if you're like me and you need a little help integrating these, then we're going to go deeper into it. All the rest of the text is helping us to understand these first few verses and how we can live them. So the first chapter of the sutras talks about yoga, what its purpose is, talks about the qualities of the mind and how to focus the mind. And then the second chapter of this book, we won't talk about it today, but that's the chapter that's most important for practitioners. That chapter shares what the causes of suffering are, which we talked about a little bit in these chats, and then it shares the remedy to the suffering. But today we start at the beginning. So the very first verse says, "And now the teaching on yoga begins." And that can either mean, okay, we're about to start learning about yoga. Also, that word now is very important in there. So now means the present moment. And when all of our senses, when all of our attention are in the present moment, we come into the state of yoga, when we are with everything that is as it is. The second verse, yoga is the settling of the mind into silence. When the mind has settled, we are established in our essential nature, which is unbounded consciousness. Okay, so our essential nature, we talk about it being in the spiritual heart, the very center of the chest. There is this pure consciousness. Our essential nature is usually overshadowed by the activity of the mind. So we're not separate. Many of us are like, I need to find bliss and happiness. Bliss and happiness are closer to us than our own breath. They're not separate from us. It's nothing that we have to run away and chase externally. It's right here, but we don't know it's here because the mind is so busy. Okay, so this unbounded consciousness is overshadowed by the activity of the mind. I don't know if we've talked about koshas in these talks before, but later we start to talk that there's kind of different layers over this true perception that kind of distort how we see things. It's like different filters. So one of them is the filter of the mind. And all of these minds, you can think of it like all of our thoughts like a cyclone that's moving around our body. And it's not a problem unless we identify with the thoughts. So if we can learn to just watch the thoughts going by and remain unconcerned, then we can stay anchored in this. So this chapter goes on to talk about the different mental activity. There's 5 main types. So there's correct understanding. That's when we understand something properly as it is. There's misunderstanding, and misunderstanding is very common because our senses lie to us, right? Our eyes see things, but it's not how they are, right? If our eyes just look at what's happening, our eyes would believe that the sun is circling around our planet, right? We know that's not the case now. Or our eyes would think that the stars come out at night, but they're always there. It's just the conditions change so that we can perceive them. So our senses are very limited in the information that they give to us, and that results in misunderstanding. Most of the time, the mental state is misunderstanding. This causes suffering. There's imagination, so this is the mind is, creating something out of nothing. Sleep is another cause of mental activity, so there's that stillness in deep sleep. And memory, when we're recalling something that's happened from the past. Memory is usually connected to misunderstanding too, because we don't see it from all the angles. We see it through the one filter that we experienced it through. So this chapter goes on to share more about some thoughts. It talks about the obstacles on the path of yoga. So many of these obstacles we're familiar with. Illness, right? The things that stop us from practicing. Fatigue. It's very easy, I said, at night to be like, tomorrow I'm going to be a great yogi. I'm going to wake up at 4 in the morning. I'm going to meditate for an hour. I'm going to do my breathing. I'm going to be present all day. And then it's like you're a totally different human when 4 in the morning comes, right? And the alarm goes off and you're like, no, tomorrow, today I'm going to be comfortable in this pillow and sleep here. So fatigue is a big obstacle on the path. Doubt is an obstacle. And it's hard for us to believe things that we don't have proof for, right? But I like to think of all of the things that we didn't know in the past. Like now we have scientific proof that this body is made of atoms, and that atoms are made of vibration and light. So actually we have the tools to see that this body is actually made of light and vibration, not what the eyes think it's made of. So knowing that helps to deepen my faith, realizing we just don't have the technology to perceive things as they are, and the people that I choose to trust are those that, according to my perception, embody love and compassion. Well, that seems, the texts say that is the closest to truth, and the beings that I find that resonate with those, that's where I put my trust. Carelessness, laziness, attachment, delusion. These are all obstacles on the path. The failure to achieve samadhi. Samadhi is when you feel one with everything, or the failure to maintain it. So this is like impatience. Sometimes we start our practice and we're like, oh, I've been doing these breathing exercises for 5 days and nothing's happened. I still see things the same. So we have to remember that it takes a long time, right? To not be impatient, to think of how, water erodes, carves the path of a river. This takes a long time, but it changes. Water, just like the breath, is subtle, it's more soft, but the effects of these practices do over time change us. So it says that these obstacles can be eliminated if the mind is brought to a single focus. In the next 2 verses, it shares 2 ways to bring our mind to a single focus. The first one, this is verse 33 of chapter 1. It's my favorite verse. This is to cultivate the qualities of the heart. And this verse gives us a complete yoga practice. If we just use this one verse and try to practice it all the time, that's enough. That's all you need about yoga. So it says, the mind becomes clear and serene when the qualities of the heart are cultivated. And Alana Kaivalya shared these qualities this way in my first training. Be happy for those who are happy. Okay. So someone is happy, be happy for them. Sometimes, right, when someone's happy, we think, oh, you shouldn't be happy about that. That's not a good thing. We can be judgmental of them, or maybe we can be jealous, right? Or maybe think, oh, you should be cautious. Don't get too excited, right? So it's just saying, be with them as they are. Be happy for those who are happy. And the next verse is, be compassionate for those who are sad. Same thing, not negating what is. Oh, there's sadness there. Being with it, yeah, that hurts. Offering compassion. No, don't change. Just be happy. Don't push that away. Don't be there, right? So be happy with those who are happy. Be compassionate with those who are sad. Be joyful with those who are fortunate, or for those who are fortunate. So if someone gets this amazing boon, everything's working out for them, be like, wow, that's amazing. Celebrate with them, right? Knowing at the end in yoga that we're all the same. It's one consciousness in all these different bodies. So we can actually celebrate through other people's senses of perception instead of needing to hoard and possess for ourselves. Be happy, celebrate with them. And then the last one is be indifferent towards those you perceive to be wicked. Two big words in that line, indifference and perception. So if you perceive someone to be wicked, don't be too concerned, don't get too riled up about it, because we don't truly know. It's just our own perception. Okay? So if you practice those 4 things, it's actually quite challenging. You can even pick one of them. I used to have a friend, we would practice non-judgment days and be like, hey, let's try not to say anything judgmental for 24 hours. And then if you did, you'd squeeze the person's arm. And it was amazing how many times, the arm's being squeezed. But it's just a good thing to notice that that's the nature of the mind, that it does that, right? Not to judge or be angry. Oh, no, you're so judgmental, you're a terrible person. No need to add shame on it. That's just part of being human, is that we tend to judge things. And then when we notice it, oh, okay, we can soften it. So be happy for those who are happy. Be compassionate for those who are sad. Be joyful for those who are fortunate. And indifferent towards those you perceive to be wicked. The next verse makes me laugh. Hi, Kevin. And it basically says, it offers this beautiful practice of cultivating the heart qualities. And then it says, or do breathing exercises. So if it's too much to work on these heart qualities, everyone has different nature, right? So for some beings, that's not their path. You can do breathing exercises, and this will also help your mind to become single-pointed, okay? My teacher, Dharma, always talks about compassion, 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 compassion in all of the practices. So he says everything you do, if you're practicing compassion, everything else will unfold better and more quickly. So I think it's good to still know those qualities, even if you're led to just moving towards the breath. So this morning I'll share with you a simple pranayama practice that you can do anytime to help to calm the mind. And remembering that the real purpose of yoga is self-realization. It's not to make life easier and make external things work better for us, for what our ego wants. You know, they say people make plans and God laughs. But it's to really remember who we really are, to really connect to our own self, this unlimited, pure consciousness, the nature of bliss that can never be harmed, that's never changed. The Gita says it can't be burnt, it can't be wet, it can't be dried out, that exists forever. To have the self-knowledge to connect to this, so that we can watch this beautiful show around us of everything impermanent, watching the things arising and passing away, but we remain unconcerned as that happens. It doesn't mean we're not compassionate. We're compassionate. So some people can think unconcerned is just like ignoring. We still offer compassion to all of it and see it, but underneath we trust that everything is unfolding perfectly according to divine laws. So let's breathe. So for this pranayama practice, I'm just going to guide you. I'm not going to say anymore. Let's close our eyes and sit comfortably. You can always use your imagination to help you, imagining the very best. Softening the body, imagine you can breathe in through all the pores of your skin. And breathe out through all the pores of the skin. And as you breathe in, you can breathe in the qualities of compassion, of love, whatever your inner child needs to feel safe to be here, to be still, to do this practice. slow down the breath. So breathe out completely. Slowly inhale for 4 counts. 3, 2, 1. Pause and savor the breath for a moment. And then exhaling 4, 3, 2, 1. Good. Breathing in through all of the pores for 4. Hold the breath and softly breathe out. Breathing in the very best. Hold, savor, and softly let it go. Continue breathing in, receiving. And exhaling, giving, relaxing, letting go. Continue, keep breathing in. Hold. Exhale. This is calming breathing. Feel that you're calming all the cells of the body. Breathing in slowly. Hold and pause for a moment. And exhale slowly. Continue on your own for a few moments. If you want to lengthen the breath, the inhales and the exhales even more, go ahead. Allow it to be comfortable. And if the breath I'm doing is too slow, you can go a little quicker. Make sure that you're not causing suffering in the body. It should be comfortable. Breath is the link between the conscious and the subconscious. It's one of the many miracles that we take for granted, that this body is somehow being breathed. And as you do this practice, feel that you're really able to connect to the life force energy, a great mystery. Give it some attention. Let the breath pour in through the entire body. You can imagine it breathes in through your hips, your belly, your waist. And you let it all go with ease, no attachment. Lengthening our inhales helps to release feelings of sadness and depression. Helps us to breathe in fresh life. And lengthening the exhales helps to release anxiety and fear. Really imagine breathing in the best, soothing the body. Calming it with the exhale. breath in. So you can do that practice anytime you like, anytime in the day when you realize, oh, the mind is going crazy. Allow yourself to pause just for, a few minutes is very helpful. 1 minute is better than 0 minutes. So if you're like, I don't have time, you probably have 60 seconds. Just don't go on Instagram for 60 seconds. You can probably find 1 minute. And then often I find these things I don't have time for. As soon as I do it for 1 minute, I'm like, oh no, I really want to do this. And then you keep practicing. Thank you, Shal. All right. So I hope you all have a beautiful day. I'll continue talking on Wednesday mornings. If there's anything specific you'd like me to talk about, please let me know. If there's something even in your life right now, like, hey, this is happening, how do I deal with this through yoga? It would be really helpful for me if you share that, and I can know what is useful for you. So I'm not sharing things that aren't useful. Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Diana.